Okay, students, so today we're going to start talking about algebra. This is an introduction to algebra. Now, for most of you, the word algebra may bring a little bit of shivers. There's no need to. I'm going to start from very basic and then continue little by little. When we hear the word algebra, letters come to mind. Of course, those letters are very important, and those letters represent something, represent unknown. So a letter in algebra represents an unknown. We can use any letter. The most widely used letter is X, but we can use any letter can be used. Like X, Y, A, B, etc. Now, some notation. How we write things and what they are. Let's say we have X. X means 1 times X. So 2X means 2 times X, or I have 2 of X, meaning X plus X. Same thing if I have 4X. So 4X means 4 times X, or 4 of X. I have 4 of them. Pay attention, because one of the mistakes I usually see when you have X plus X, for example, many students write X squared. That means X being multiplied by itself. So let's write it down. So if I have X squared means X multiplied by itself. So 2X squared means 2 times X squared, or X squared for 2 times, X squared plus X squared. And if I have AB, that means A times B. And 2AB means 2 times A times B, or AB plus AB. If I have X on 3, that means X divided by 3, or 1/3 of X. Similarly, if I have X squared on 6, that means X squared divided by 6, or 1/6 of X squared. Now, when it comes to brackets, for example, I have 2A all squared. That means 2A multiplied by itself, which means it's 4A squared, or 2A times 2A, which is 4A squared, the same, which means 4 times A, or 4 of A squared, meaning A squared plus A squared plus A squared plus another A squared. Okay, so if I have if we have to be very careful for this one now. If I have 2a squared, I'm writing it in a different color so that you could understand well. Pay attention. These two are not the same. This means that I have 2 times a squared. Look at the difference, all right? Look at the difference. The difference between one and the other. This is 2a squared, that is 4a squared. Because here, the square is squaring both values inside the bracket. Now, when we have algebraic expressions can be added together, can be simplified. So, simplifying algebraic expressions. Let's take some examples. First of all, many times we can simplify an algebraic expression by doing the four properties: multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction, and also by collecting like terms. So expressions can be added, subtracted, multiplied, divided, and also simplified by collecting like terms. Let us see this happening. For example, let's say we have 2a multiplied by 3a. That means I have 2 times 3 times a, which is the same as 6a squared. Let's say we have 14a divided by 7b. That means 14a on 7b, but 14 is a multiple of 7, so it's 2a on b. 2a on b. Let's say we have 3x plus 4y minus 5y plus 6x. Here we can see that we have like terms. 3x and plus 6x are like terms. Also, plus 4y and minus 5y are like terms. So collecting like terms, I get 3x plus 6x plus 4y minus 5y, which gives 9x minus y. So there we have collected like terms. We have to be very careful. We consider terms to be like terms if they have the same letter. For example, x raised to the same power. And there we have y. Let's see another example. Suppose we have 3x squared minus 4x plus 5x squared minus 7x plus 2. So if I consider the like terms, we have 3x squared and plus 5x squared. They are like terms because they are raised to the same power, same variable, same power. Then we have minus 4x and minus 7x, and then there is 2. So in this case, I'm going to have 3x squared plus 5x squared minus 4x minus 7x plus 2, which gives me 3x squared and 5x squared, 8x squared, Pay attention, all right? I'm not multiplying, so I don't need to add the powers. Minus 4 and minus 7, which gives minus 11x plus 2. And that is the final result. Further basic algebra. In the beginning, I have mentioned brackets. Brackets in mathematics are used instead of multiplication. So if I have 2 brackets 3x, that means 2 times 3x, which give 6x. All those terms which are inside a bracket are always multiplied by the number outside of the bracket or by another term. So let's consider this. 3 brackets 4x plus 2. This means that 4x plus 2, which is inside the bracket, is being multiplied by 3. Anything inside the bracket multiplied by 3, that gives 12x plus 6. Know that everything was multiplied by 3. And if I have minus 2 brackets 5 plus 2x, now those 5 plus 2x are going to be multiplied by negative 2. So 5 multiplied by negative 2 is negative 10, and plus 2x multiplied by negative 2 is minus 4x. We have to be very careful when there is a minus, because it's very easy to make mistakes. If I have minus 3x plus 2 brackets 4x plus 1. Let's find this. Now we're going to use the BIDMAS, where we have to work the brackets first and then the addition and subtraction. So in this case it's going to be minus 3x, 2 times 4, which is 8x, plus 8x, 1 multiplied by 2 is plus 2. Now I'm going to collect like terms. Look here, minus 3x and 8x are like terms, which give me 5x plus 2. Be very careful when there seems to be nothing in front of the brackets, like the example is going to follow. So suppose I have 5x plus bracket 2x minus 1. When there is a plus or minus sign in front of a bracket and there is no visible number visible, I suggest you write 1 in front of the bracket. That's very important, especially if in front of that 1 there is a negative sign. In this case it was a positive. Now after this one I'll be working an example where we're going to see a negative sign. So I have, in this case, I have 5x. I'm going to multiply the bracket by 1, which means the bracket will not change. So it's plus 2x minus 1. 5x and 2x are like terms. So simplifying, I get 7x minus 1. Pay attention for this one. Suppose I have to simplify 3x minus bracket 4x plus 2. Now, as I said earlier, there is nothing in front of that bracket. It means there is a 1, it's hidden. So let's write down that 1, because now we have a negative sign, and that negative sign might cause problems. So I have 3x minus 1 multiplied by 4 is minus 4x, and minus 1 multiplied by 2 is minus 2. I have like terms. 3x minus 4x is minus 1x minus 2. And that is the final answer. Of course, problems can even be more complicated than that. I'm going to do the last example. For example, I have to simplify 2 4x plus 5 minus 3x minus 2. So in this case, I'm going to multiply the brackets. Okay, I'm going to multiply 4x plus 5 has to be multiplied by 2, which gives 8x plus 10. And minus 3, x minus 2 is going to be multiplied by negative 3. x multiplied by negative 3 is minus 3x, and minus 2 multiplied by negative 3 is plus 6. Take note, take care, be careful for the signs. So now I have like terms, 8x and minus 3x are like terms. So I'm going to join them together, and 8x minus 3x is 5x, because 8 minus 3 is 5, and 10 and 6 are like terms also. That's 10 plus 6, which gives a value of 16. Well, now when we need to simplify, sometimes further than simplifying, we'll have to solve equations. Now I'm going to solve some simple equations. Solving equations. First of all, there is a big difference between an expression and an equation. Only equations can be solved, because an equation is equal to something. So if it's equal to something, there might be a solution. Please remember that some equations don't have a real solution, right? So can be solved, simply solved. They might have other solutions, but not real solutions. Let's consider a couple of equations. The most simple equation, let's say, solve 4x is equal to 8. What does this mean? I am multiplying 4 by something, and the result is 8. We all know what is the answer. 4 multiplied by 2 is 8, so x is equal to 2. What have I done there? There I have decided to divide that equation by 4, by the coefficient of x, the number in front of x. So dividing that by 4, 4x divided by 4 is x, and 8 divided by 4 is 2. Sometimes we say we place 4 to the other side of the equation, and we divide by 4, and that's what we were doing here. Let's see further examples. Suppose we have 5x plus 2 is equal to 17. So I have a number which when multiplied by 5 and then 2 is added, the answer is 17. Even mentally, that's a very simple equation, but what we're going to do, I'm going to subtract first 2 from both sides of the equation. Or I'm going to move 2 to the other side of the equation, and I get 17 minus 2. 17 minus 2, which is equal to 15. So now I have 5x equals 15. So what is x? X is 15 divided by 5, and 15 divided by 5 is 3. So that's another simple linear equation which we have solved. So we have 2 examples till now. Let's find another example. So let's say we need to solve 2 brackets 3x plus 1 is equal to 14. And we need to solve for x. Again, what we need to do first this time, we need to open up brackets. So I got 6x plus 2 is equal to 14. Now we're back to the previous step where I need to subtract 2. So 6x is 14 minus 2. So 6x is 12. So x is 12 divided by 6, and that is equal to 2. And we have solved that equation. Sometimes equations can be a little bit harder. For example, solve 3x plus 5 on 2 is equal to 10. I need to solve that equation. So what am I going to do? In this case, it's impossible to subtract 5 from both sides, but we can multiply 2 to both sides. In this case, I'm going to remove 2, place it on the other side of the equation, and from division, it will become times. So I have 3x plus 5 is equal to 10 times 2. 10 times 2, which is equal to 20. Now we're back to this step where I need to remove 5. So 3x is 20 less 5, which is equal to 15. So x is equal to 15 divided by 3, and in that case, x is 5. It might be even a little bit harder if we have two fractions in one equation. For example, we have to solve, I need to write it here, we're going to solve 2x minus 1 on 5 is equal to 3x plus 2 on 3. What am I going to do this time? This time, step by step. First I'm going to remove 5 and place it on the other side. So I have 2x minus 1 is 5 times 3x plus 2 divided by 3. But now I'm going to remove 3, doing the same thing as I did with 5. So I have 3 brackets 2x minus 1 is equal to 5 brackets 3x plus 2. So in this case, 6x minus 3, I have multiplied by 3, is equal to, I am going to multiply by 5, 15x plus 10. Placing x's on one side and numbers on the other, I get minus 3 minus 10 is 15x minus 6x. I have decided to leave x positive. I could have placed x's on this side and numbers on the other. It would not have mattered. So minus 13 is equal to 9x. So x is minus 13 on 9. You can leave that as it is because that is a perfect answer. Okay, you don't need to work it out using your calculator, but in that case it would be minus 1.4 recurring. So this was the first part, introduction to algebra. We have seen what were the basic algebraic terms, what is an expression, how to simplify an expression, and what are simple equations and how to solve them. In our next lesson, we'll be seeing what are functions and how to work with functions, and continue the syllabus.